Today's tale comes from a personal friend of mine, Jeff, who recently shared a most unusual experience with me. Jeff lives in a rather remote region of Auckland called Huia. It has a small population of just under 600 people. His home is surrounded by native forest. The rest of this tale will be told in his own words. This happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I was unwell with a really unpleasant stomach bug, so decided to spend the night on the couch downstairs. Around 2 o'clock in the morning, I was literally jolted awake by a weird thrumming bass sound that felt as if it were coming from a vast engine somewhere above or below. I immediately thought it was an earthquake, except that, apart from me, nothing else in the house was rattling. Maybe a huge truck had just rattled past on the road above the house, but it felt too weird for that. It was a pulsing, throbbing noise, and almost at the exact same time a glaring white light flooded in through the kitchen window, shining into the lounge and illuminating the whole room from without. I managed to stumble to the kitchen window groggily, and outside was all lit up as well, as if a car had parked on the road above and was shining its headlights into the kitchen. Except it was far brighter than any car lights I'd ever seen. I looked up and honestly, hand on heart, it was a UFO. It looked like your standard flying saucer suspended a little way above the house, and a beam of light was being cast to the ground in the garden before me. And as I watched, I saw something beginning to materialize within that beam of light. I remember backing away from the window in utter terror, muttering, "No, no, no," over and over. Then it got weird, because suddenly I was back on the couch, being rattled awake by the same noise, with the same glaring light flooding in through the window, except this time I felt like I was pinned to the couch. I remember trying to swing myself up and bring my feet to the ground, which took an extraordinary effort, but ever so slowly I managed to do so, because I was utterly frightened of what was outside. I wasn't just terrified, I was scared out of my mind. I can't even describe it. And as my feet slowly, excruciatingly touched the wooden floor, my surroundings, they didn't melt away or vanish. It was weirder than that. It was as if the house and everything evaporated, and I was instead standing in a large metal chamber, brightly lit and utterly featureless. And in front of me, in a mechanical sort of chair or wheelchair, was what I at first thought was a human mannequin. It looked like a person slumped in a chair with its head thrown back, but upon closer inspection, it had rough, lumpy, unfinished-looking features, all jumbled up, and just the sight of it filled me with horror and disgust. I realized it was alive when slowly it brought its head up level to look at me, and I could see that it was breathing. Its eyes were jet black, and I just instinctively knew that if I didn't show that I was aggressive and loud and noisy, that I'd never see my home or anything again. So I just flew at it, yelling at the top of my lungs, things like, "I know all about you and what you do. I've heard all the stories, how you like putting things in people. You go near me and I'll rip your ugly head off." And this thing visibly recoiled, and its eyes narrowed, and that's when I knew the thing was truly malevolent. I heard a commotion behind me, as if there were more of them, and then next thing I knew I was falling off the couch in the lounge and yelling into the floor. All throughout the next day I was utterly spooked. Every noise like a throbbing speaker made me jump. I couldn't concentrate on anything at work. You see, sure, maybe, probably, it was all just a dream, but it was just so damned real. But my wife heard nothing throughout the night, and I've never believed in UFO sightings. The people who claim to have been abducted all have one thing in common: they all look stark raving mad. So what was it? A waking nightmare? An hallucination? Yes, I was sick, but I've always been able to tell the difference between a nightmare and reality. And that evening, I saw a post on the Huia community Facebook page and read in mounting horror as the person asked if anybody had heard any weird noises or seen any strange lights in the sky that night. And I saw the comments from others who had seen and heard similar things. And now I'm beginning to wonder what really happened that night. I'd be very interested in hearing from anyone in the Huia community who can corroborate this story. Has anything like this ever happened to you? Have you found yourself face to face with a creature of similar malice as the one Jeff faced? Share your tale with me at tellyourtalehere@gmail.com, or simply follow the link in the description below. And until next time, be on your guard against strange lights in the night.